Hi again, guys. Nice to see everybody again, and welcome to my presentation on fun science experiments. Going to be the same format as the last video presentation I did. It's going to be a mix between video and PowerPoint, so hopefully everything works, hopefully the screen share works, and here we go. Just want to mention before I get started with the actual experiments, remember safety first. Maybe for some of these experiments you don't need the safety glasses or the gloves or whatever, right? But it's a good thing to demonstrate to your students that safety is important to you so that they will also have safety as an important thing to them. So here we go. Let's have some fun and learn about a few science experiments. Why do science experiments in the first place? They can be a pain to set up, but I think what the students get out of these kind of experiments far outweighs the time that gets put into making them. Experiments like these provide a frame of reference for students to learn, and they also allow a teacher to refer back to something real that the students have actually seen and touched. They provide a real-life basis for what's far too often in science is a huge emphasis on theory. So the first experiment I'm going to do is cool fire. It can be done with everywhere from Chemistry 20 through Science 10, Grade 9 Chemistry Unit, pretty much any course that involves chemistry. There's also another cool experiment that I won't have time to get to, but it's called the collapsing can, and it works on the same principles. So for cool fire, you'll need a $5 bill, some ethanol, some water, some salt, a beaker, and a lighter, and also a pair of tongs. So here's the reaction that we're trying to show. Basically, you just want to prove that water and carbon dioxide are the two things made in every combustion reaction. The first thing that you always need to do is have safety glasses on. The second thing that you need to do is get a $5 bill from one of your students in the class because, I mean, you don't want to burn your own money, right? And it makes it a bit more exciting for them. And I always tell them that if something goes wrong, I'll give them a $10 bill back, but nothing ever does. So here we go. You're going to need your beaker full of half alcohol, half water, ethanol or isopropyl alcohol, a pair of tongs, $5 bill, and a lighter, and someplace safe to do this. Honestly, the flame is pretty cool, so like a desktop or something would work just fine for this experiment. So here we go. The first thing I'm going to do is take this $5 bill, I'm going to stick it in the solution, I'm going to get it good and wet, completely soaked. Okay, and for the rest of this, I'm going to go and turn the lights off so that you guys can get a better sense of the flame. And it looks much better with the lights off. Here it goes. And there it goes. That's the $5 bill burning. Now it looks like it's burning, but it's not really. Okay, and there it goes. Up in flames. Alright. Blow that out. Okay. So actually the dollar bill you'd think it would be hot. It's really quite cool, and that's because water has a very high specific heat capacity. So all of the heat that's coming off of this bill in the form of flame, okay, it's just being absorbed by water. You can also have a little bit of fun, take some of this stuff, pour it on your tray, right, or on your desk or whatever. Sometimes I pour it on the floor, okay, just light it up, and it'll burn for a few seconds. And actually this tray, after this stuff is done burning, I know it's a big flame right now, it's actually going to be quite cool. Touch it, I'm not going to pass my hand through it. Sometimes you can light your hand on fire too. I wouldn't recommend it. Alright, so we'll just let that burn off, and on this side of the tray, it's actually still fairly cool considering how long it just burned for. So it's still a little bit warm, but you don't want to have your beaker stuff too close to the flame. Electric Pickle fits very well into physics. It's the best for grade 5 electricity unit, grade 9 electricity unit, grade 10 physics or chemistry units, as well as physics 20 and 30 when they do a lot with electricity. The materials that you need are a pickle, a dish that can be burnt, a wire off an old appliance, a couple of paper clips, and I always like to give my kids a safety speech before we do this one. And I'll just draw a sodium atom here in the Bohr model. And it's got 2 electrons in the first energy level. It's got 8 in the second energy level. And 1 lone guy out here in the third energy level. And what happens with this experiment is this last guy in the valence level, when you plug the pickle into the wall, he gains energy, and he actually jumps up to the next energy level that doesn't normally exist with sodium. And when that electron eventually falls back down, it gives off a photon, which is light. That's why the pickle lights up, and that's also how fluorescent bulbs work. So here we go. All you need is a jar of pickles, and just baby ones. I buy the cheap brand because they're going to get fried. They don't have to taste very good. And a cord off of some old appliance. So you can see this one here, I got off an old lamp. And just a regular prong end, and then on the other end, you just separate the cord, and you hook a couple of paper clips up to it. You can see that I have there. Right, and those are just electrodes, and they will eventually have to be replaced because they get fairly black. Make sure that the last thing that you do in this experiment is plug this in. Okay, and you won't want to leave it plugged in too long because it eventually starts to smell like disgusting roasted pickle, and nobody likes that. But it's a really good experiment that you can do quickly and use for a lot of grade levels. So the egg in the bottle experiment is great for chemistry 20, the gas unit in it. It's also good for grade 6 where you do air pressure in the flight unit. You need a boiled peeled egg, usually a medium size, a Gatorade bottle, a little bit of water, some scrap paper, and a lighter. Alright, so the egg in the bottle experiment is a great experiment for anything that involves pressure, involves gases. Grade 6 flight unit, you can use it all the way up to chemistry 20 where you do Boyle's law, Charles' law, combined gas law, all that kind of good stuff. So all you need really is an egg that's peeled and hard boiled, and I have mine in a beaker full of water so that it slides neatly into the bottle, and a little piece of paper and a lighter. So here we go. Just take my egg out of the beaker. Okay, I'm just going to put it here for now. I'm going to light my paper on fire and drop it into the bottle. Make sure it's good and burning. There we go. Pop the egg on top gently, and it just falls right into the bottle, just like that. If you watch this in slow motion, you can see the egg bounce a little bit. That's caused by the hot air inside the bottle, making the molecules fly around, go really fast. Some of them escape, which causes the egg to jump. Eventually the egg settles down on the neck of the bottle. It cuts the oxygen off from the fire. Once the fire is out, the bottle gets quite cool. All the particles and molecules go ahead and condense inside the bottle. That causes a low pressure zone inside the bottle where the high pressure air pushes the egg down through the neck of the bottle. And you can see there, it just sits in the bottom. It's still in one piece, it's intact. Kind of a gross but cool way to get the egg out without squeezing the bottle is just to tip it upside down. And you're going to do the opposite this time. You're going to put more pressure inside the bottle. And it just pops right out again. And finally, pond water. It's a good biology experiment. I'm not going to shoot a video on it because there's no way for me to film through a microscope. But basically, you just head to your nearest lake and grab a bucket full of sludge pond water and take it into class and let students prepare slides and just view all the organisms squirming around in the water. So you'll need also some microscope slides and quieting solution, which basically slows the organisms down enough that you can see them underneath the microscope. To see this video again, click on the top website. To see 10 other great science experiments, you can click on the bottom website. Thanks a lot, guys.